Hello and welcome to the 7th video in my Beginner's Guide to Python series. Today I'm going to be going over lists in Python, which are used to store multiple pieces of data inside of one variable. So let's get into it. A list in Python is pretty straightforward. We declare a list in the same way that we declare a variable. So we'll first give the list a name. I'm going to call it fruit list. Okay, and then we need the equal sign. Unlike a variable though, since we're containing multiple pieces of data inside of the list, we need to use open and close square brackets. Okay, so let's start adding some data. We'll add a few fruits to the list, so we'll do apple, banana, strawberries, and that should be enough for now. Okay, so let's print out this list and see what happens. So let's run that. There we go, we get each one individually. So notice how they're all spaced with commas. This is because if we remove them and then print it, we'll see what happens. There we go, it just adds them all together as one string, and that's not what we want them as separate items. Another thing I'd like to mention is not every single thing in this list has to be the same data type. So for example, if we add some numbers in, we can add a boolean in, so we can add true in there. We can add a float, like 5.6 for example. And all of this will still work. So if we print this now, there we go, we can print them all out even if they're different data types. Before we move on, I'd like to point out the variable I assigned for the list. So as you can see, fruit list, we've capitalised the first letter of the second word. This is because, well, with variables it needs to be one word. You can't have spaces like this, otherwise it just doesn't work. But if we had a little l instead, it's kind of difficult to read. So it's an industry standard to use this thing called camel case, which for every word in the variable, apart from the first word, you capitalise the first letter of that word. We do this because it just, like I said, it makes it so much easier to read. Okay, so I've shown you how to print the entire list to the console, but what about if we only want to print, for example, apple or banana or strawberry or another fruit that might be in the list later on? So we do this by adding a open and closed square bracket after the fruit list in here in the print statement, and then we select the index of the item we want to take from the list. So for example, 0. So I'll explain how indexes work. In this list, each item has a number assigned to it, starting from 0. So apple is 0, banana is 1, strawberry is 2, and if we add others it would be 3, 4, 5, going up like that. So if we print fruit list index 0, it's going to give us apple. So we'll print this now. There we go, we get apple. If we change this to 2, then print this again, we'll get strawberry, because strawberry is the second, not the second item in the index, but it's at index number 2. Well, what happens if we want to add another item to the list? Well, we can do that using the append function. I'll show you an example now. If we go underneath here and we do fruit list dot append, and then open and close brackets, and in here we'll add another fruit, so we'll do orange. Okay, so if we go underneath here and then print the list again, there we go, we get the whole list but with orange added to the end. There's another function that allows us to remove items from the list. So if we do fruit list dot pop, and then in here we select the index of the item we want to remove. So let's say we want to remove banana. We'll do index 1, then underneath here we'll print it again. There we go, we'll print the list out again, run that, and as you can see, in here, banana has been removed. There's a lot of different inbuilt functions that we can use for lists in Python, so I'll leave a link in the description to all the built-in functions that we can use for manipulating lists. If you've got the time, I'd recommend having a play around with them. We're so close to the end of the series now, so thank you if you've made it this far. If you've enjoyed the video, then consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video where I'll be going over loops which allow us to run blocks of code multiple times. I'll see you in the next one.